This is your time to start writing down the lessons that you learned throughout the year. At the start of the year, I do a vision board, but at the end of the year, I write a list of lessons that I've learned. I've been doing this for a few years now because time flies so quickly and I want to remember what I learned and the things that happened during that year. These are some of my 2024 lessons, particularly the ones that pertain to God. So since there is a full list, I am calling the numbers according to that. Number 10, sometimes God will test you. I had two concurrent opportunities and I thought that because I had both, that maybe God would just work it out, but I had to choose one. And I thought it was kind of funny because at the time I was praying to God about being a good steward and I realized that I had to be a good steward in that moment. One opportunity was 3 weeks of fun. The other opportunity was 3 months of work. Obviously, I chose the work. I'm going to go where the money's at. Sometimes God gives us choices and we have to choose carefully. Yes, I could have chosen the 3 weeks of fun, but is that me showing God that I'm going to steward what I've been praying for? No. Number 11, God is not blessing you for you to unnecessarily whine. This one also has to do with stewardship. Whenever I would get money, I would just be whining and like making little complaints. I don't even know why. It doesn't even make sense. But I had to nip that in the bud because there's no reason why God is blessing me with money. And every time I'm like, oh, I gotta pay for this and I gotta do this and otherwise everything. Like, girl, you just got the money. Let's be grateful. And don't get me wrong. Of course, I'm happy that God is blessing me with money. But there's no reason for me to be unnecessarily whining about all the things I have to spend money on and so forth. Number 12, God hears and provides before you even think to ask. I can't tell you how many times I've experienced this in 2024. Actually, like I told you, I have a vision board. So one of the things that I have put on my 2024 vision board, God does not operate out of scarcity. He is a God of abundance. You have to remember that one, you can ask God, but regardless, God is already 10 steps ahead of us. He knows what we want before we can even think about it. He already knows how a situation is going to play out and he's going to send you, whether it's a destiny helper, the funds, resources, whatever it is, he's ahead of you. He got it covered. And also, if God has placed something in your heart and you're like, God, I don't know how this is going to happen, guess what? He placed it in your heart for a reason and he's going to see it through. Number 13, the closer you are to God, the more you will hear him. I always used to wonder how were people hearing God's voice. I could never understand that because yes, I could tell that God was communicating to me through other people, through dreams and so forth, but I can never hear him directly. And I realized that the reason for that was because I was not close enough to God. I wasn't spending time with him. Maybe I might pray sometimes, but I wasn't actively in my word. I wasn't studying it because there was a time where I was reading my Bible, but I wasn't studying it. So even then, I'm still not hearing him clearly. But I realized the minute I started spending more time with God and I actually nurtured our relationship, I could hear him. Now I'm at the point where I can separate my thoughts from God's. I also have something like this on my vision board, and I'm looking across because I keep my vision board on my phone wallpaper or my computer wallpaper. This one is referencing James chapter 4 verse 7. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you. Remember, it's a relationship. You have to show up for God to hear him. He's trying to speak to you. There were two occasions where I heard God. One, I heard him directly in my head, and then the second time was through scripture. Number 15, leaving before things get bad or without evidence of a problem is having discernment. I would always pray to God for wisdom, understanding, clarity, discernment. And then there was a moment where I had to discern, and it only hit me afterwards that that's what it was. I was in a situation and I felt bad because I thought that I had to make this premature decision. I was like, but I don't have evidence that this is going to happen. I can assume, I can think this is how it's going to play out, but I don't know for sure. But then I realized that this is what having discernment is. This is having intuition. You don't need to wait for something to play all the way out. You don't have to wait till you get in a situation. You don't have to wait till something bad happens and things go wrong. And sometimes you really just don't know. Sometimes you will not even have a hint. But you have to trust when God gives you a feeling or something feels off. You have to be like, yeah, this isn't right. And just act accordingly. Number 16, just because things go a certain way doesn't mean it's not from God. People have free will. I was praying to God for friends prior to this, and I finally made a friend, and I was just like, oh, this must be from God. God is answering my prayers. Fast forward, friend starts acting in a way that I wasn't really a fan of, and I started to think, oh, well, I guess maybe God didn't answer my prayers. I guess God didn't really necessarily send me this friend. But then I realized that how people behave is not a reflection of God. And I think this is sometimes where people go around with things like trauma and church hurt and those kind of things, is because they look at how people act as a reflection of God, and that is not the case. People have free will. Yes, maybe God did bless me with this friendship. Maybe he sent me this friend, but this friend also has free will. I have no control of that. And to be honest, God kind of doesn't either. Number 23, don't chase and things from God will happen naturally and in his timing. We have this really bad habit or like a tendency to want to intervene or jump ahead of God and do our own thing. And I realized that when I thought about instances in my life where God has showed up for me, I didn't have to lift a finger. God did it all. And I remind myself of that every time, to be patient and to not intervene and to always consult God, because when you take matters into your own hands, sometimes it goes left, sometimes it ends badly, and maybe it may not always end badly, but point is you could have had a better outcome had you waited on God. And sometimes things don't always work out right away. It doesn't happen instantly. It might not happen to the third, the second, the wait what the second, the third time. You know, they say third time's the charm. Sometimes it takes a bit of effort, but God will eventually come through. Whether he has something better for you, or it takes a few more tries, or you have to learn a couple of lessons, whatever it is, it will happen naturally. He will do it himself. He don't need your help. And it will happen in the right time. I do want to share the full list, but I probably will post it on my art channel, The Butterfly Artist, so hopefully I get around to it. But until then, let me know what are your 2024 lessons, what have you learned while walking with God, and I probably will post videos eventually of other lessons that I've learned. Toodles!